welcome back to another video. If you're new here, my name is Brittany and I am a soon-to-be mum of two. I have a 18-month-old son, Lincoln, and we are due to have our second baby next month in March. Absolutely love sharing my pregnancy journeys, my births, and my just journey into motherhood. I love sharing all this stuff on YouTube and over on Instagram. If you haven't followed me on Instagram, I'll pop it up here on the screen. It's brittany.katrina. But yeah, let's get into today's video. Today's video is something I'm really excited about. I wasn't planning to do this video, and then it just kind of came to me yesterday as I was doing my little exercises on my ball. You can't really see, but I'm on a exercise ball at the moment. So I thought, why not do this video? I feel like some people could get a lot out of this video, and I just wanted to sort of share with you what I've been doing this time around to prepare my mind and my body for birth and labor again. If you're not familiar with my last pregnancy and birth, I did film my birth vlog. I'll leave it up here, either side, I'm not sure which side, and you can go check that out. But basically I had a induction and I ended up having a 3rd degree tear. So yeah, needed me to go off and get stitches afterward. It was, yeah, quite a bad tear, 3B tear they call it. And my recovery was a little bit challenging. So this time around, I'm really hoping to have another vaginal birth. My plan is to have a vaginal birth again. Obviously, they did give me an option to go and have an elective C-section if I wanted to, but I really wanted to do a vaginal birth again. And I just think this time I'm making sure that I am as prepared and as knowledgeable as I can be going into it. Whereas last time I was very, like, as my first time around, I didn't really do any prep. Like, really, I probably did 0 prep, honestly. I didn't really educate myself on how birth works. I didn't really do any courses or anything like that. And I sort of just went in it as whatever happens will happen. And in my mind, it was like the less I know, the better. Obviously, now being through it, I want to make sure I can have an even better experience than the last time. So yeah, I didn't think my birth was terribly, it wasn't a terrible experience. For me, I had quite a positive induction. It was just the pushing stage, which I found really difficult. And yeah, I was pushing for 2.5 hours, and then I ended up having a really bad tear. So that is probably the main thing that I'm preparing for, is to try and avoid tearing or avoid a bad tear this time. Yeah, like I said, there are definitely a lot more things that I'm doing this time around to make sure I give myself the best possibility to not have a bad tear and to have a really good experience. So yeah, I'm gonna share those with you in this video. If you do enjoy this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up because it really supports my channel. Alrighty, I've got a few lists on my phone here, so if you see me looking down, that is why what I'm referring to. So basically, to start off with, I started my prep basically, I would say the start of the 2nd trimester. So we actually had a miscarriage before this baby. So I was a bit hesitant to look into anything and do any prep before the 13-week mark, just in case we did miscarry again. So yeah, I'd say it started from around 14 weeks. And the first thing I sort of did to sort of get my mind and my head into preparing my body and my mind for labor was I purchased an online birth course. So again, this was something I didn't do last time. I had been following this girl on Instagram. I'm not sure if you've heard of her, but I'll leave her details in the description. Her name's Emma, but she goes by the Naked Doula. And she posts amazing videos and reels on Instagram about just positioning, best positions for pushing, breathing your baby out. She just posts a lot of free educational content on her Instagram, so definitely go check her out. But she has a birth course, online birth course, and that went on sale, I think, yeah, I was about 14 weeks or something, and it was like, I think it was $100 or something Australian for the birth course, the online resources, daily motivation, cue cards. I got the online cue cards, the physical cue cards, which I might grab out in a sec. And then she also had, it comes with one of those birth combs. So like, I'm not sure if you're familiar, but it's like, you can use it as like a pain relief, I guess, in labor. So it's just like this wooden cone, and you just comb and you just hold it into your palm, and it just like presses into those pressure points, and it kind of diverts the pain that's going on inside your uterus to your hand. So yeah, I didn't use that last time. I wasn't really aware of the comb, so I'm definitely going to try and use that this time around. Yeah, I purchased that, and I've started working on her course from about 15 or 16 weeks. I finished the course, but I'm now at the point where I'm going to go and do the course again, just to familiarize myself with everything that she teaches in it, because it is quite an extensive course. In the course, she also talks about, yeah, like I said, the positioning, which before, when I had my first baby, I had no idea. I didn't do any research really. I listened to some podcasts and I thought, yeah, I'm doing my research, but it wasn't really research. So yeah, definitely based on what I've done, I'm going to avoid lying on my back this time. When I was pushing with Lincoln, I was on the bed with my legs wide open on my back, pushing for 2.5 hours, and that is the worst position you can be in to give birth in the pushing stage. So this time I'm gonna focus on trying to be in what she calls the Kiko position. So she refers to Kiko, it's basically stands for knees in, calves out. So again, on her course and on her cue cards, she has like various positions that you can use which follow that method. So basically by doing that, it actually opens up your pelvic outlet a lot wider and creates more space for the baby to come down, which when you think about doesn't really make sense, because you think, you know, open your legs wide and that will create the space, but it actually closes up that area. So yeah, I didn't know anything about this. Again, I've learned a lot from this course, and just by even following her on Instagram. Like, if you don't want to buy the course, give her a follow on Instagram. She posts heaps of videos and heaps of educational content on there. And again, another thing that I've learned from the course is you don't need to push necessarily. Like, we're always told, like in the hospitals, in the movies, okay, hold your breath and push and really like force it out. But holding your breath is really not that beneficial. Like, it really just tenses up the body. So she really talks about breathing baby out and kind of like pushing your breath down into your body and guiding baby out, because our bodies actually have a natural urge to push. So you're basically just kind of like assisting gently with breathing and really focusing your breathing on breathing the baby out. So that is something that I'm really focusing on this time around. I'm not going to hold my breath. I don't want to, you know, tense my shoulders or like grip my teeth, because that can do a lot more damage. And then just lastly on that, she talks a lot about the hormone oxytocin, which is the hormone that drives your labor. So basically, yeah, doing things that make you feel good, and like, you know, where it's physical touch, whether it's listening to music, whether it's, I don't know, dancing or doing whatever makes you feel good. As much oxytocin, if you can get as much oxytocin in as you can, it's gonna help drive and progress your labor a lot more quickly. Oh my god. That has been a really big help. I feel like it is definitely an investment, and honestly it wasn't, because I got it on sale. $100 is really not that much money to spend on a birth course, considering like you get so many resources. So yeah, I'm constantly referring to that. There's also a section on her, like it's an app sort of website, where it's like tracking a daily check-in. So I've just started doing that in the last week. So basically I go in every day just before bed and I will write in like a positive affirmation. So like last night I wrote, my body is built for labor. I will birth this baby with ease. And things like that, just kind of whatever comes to my head, to kind of put those positive, like the positive thoughts into my subconscious to like reassure myself that I can do this and to kind of stop the fear from taking over. Along with that, I have actually hired a doula this time around. So basically, if you're not familiar, a doula is like an emotional and a physical support person. They are trained, but they're not a midwife. So yeah, she can't really offer me any like medical assistance. It's more just, you know, guiding me through labor and the pushing stage and just being that like support person for me during that time. What I experienced in my first birth, which is why I decided to hire a doula this time, was I ended up having a very inexperienced midwife. She was quite young and I don't think she had had kids, and when it got to the pushing stage, she didn't really tell me or guide me on how to push better or what to do. It was sort of just like, yeah, you're doing great, keep going, hold it there. But I didn't really like, I was just not progressing for like hours, which I don't want to blame other people, but I do feel as if I had a more experienced midwife, I wouldn't have been pushing for so long, because an older midwife did come in and sort of explain it to me clearly, and I started pushing a lot better. So yeah, again, it's really, I just really wanted to have an experienced person there. The doula that I've hired, she's had 6 kids herself. So she's had 6 vaginal births. The last one was 5 years ago, so still fairly recent. Which was really important to me. So she knows what she's doing. She's trained, and she also has had that experience 6 times herself. So yeah, I didn't want to leave it to chance. Going into the public system, you don't know who's going to be on when you go into labor. So I know I will have her there throughout my whole labor to guide me and help me, and especially at the end during the transition and pushing stage, where I know I'm going to need a lot more guidance, because that is probably, yeah, it's my biggest fear going into it. Other little things that I've been doing are just listening. Again, I'm listening to podcasts. Australian Birth Stories is a really good one. I'm sure there's a lot of other podcasts out there, but they have a ton, hundreds of birth stories. And it's just nice to listen to like the different types and what can happen and sort of educate yourself that way. It's a little less formal, I guess, and you can kind of listen to them while you're driving or you're cooking or cleaning or whatever. I've also been watching a bit of YouTube. So I love watching birth vlogs. I love them. I cry. Obviously, I'm just like, now I like watch them and I'm just like a mess. But they're so nice to watch. And then also I'm trying to like watch a lot more educational content as well. So again, doulas on YouTube that are, you know, talk about how to position baby and how to prepare your body for labor and optimal positioning, optimal pushing positions, and how to have a quicker and faster labor, all that sort of stuff. I'm literally just Googling everything, and I'm getting some really good resources on YouTube. Last thing I'm doing sort of to prepare my mind and mentally prepare for labor, is I'm doing a sort of what they call a mental rehearsal of my labor. So I've kind of been into manifestation. I've been dabbling a little bit into manifestation this year. I've read a few books, and it really intrigues me. So I've taken that and I'm applying it to my labor to try and manifest a really good labor. So basically what that involves is kind of writing down. You can write it down, or you can just kind of imagine it in your head. Just take some time every day to imagine how your perfect labor would go. So I've been sort of saying, like, you know, I'd get contractions overnight that were like, you know, little twinges or whatever. I'd sleep, I'd wake up in the morning, and then labor would progress. So I'd get a nice sleep, and then labor would progress, and then I'd labor at home for a few hours, and then my doula would come and support me, and I'd be on the exercise ball. I'd be on the cub ball, and I'd have a TENS machine on, and just really like picturing myself in that moment. And then they'd start to ramp up and I would call the hospital, go to the hospital, and get to the hospital, and you know, Ryan would put on my essential oils, he'd put on my playlist, my Spotify playlist, and we'd really like set the mood. Be a lot of like swaying on the ball, in the water as well. And then when it got to sort of the pushing stage, I would be sort of like over a ball with my knees in, my calves out, or sort of like side lying with a peanut ball, and just really relaxed body, relaxed face, slowly like pushing the baby out, and it's like all very calm. So that's what I've sort of been envisioning. It sounds a bit crazy, but at this point I'm just willing to do everything I can to try and have the best labor. So yeah, I will let you know how that goes, and we can reflect on when I actually do go into labor and experience it, if it is anything like I have been envisioning. But yeah, I think that just kind of helps to sort of get your mind into that mindset of it's going to be calm, it's going to be relaxed, this is what I'm going to be doing, and just sort of like remind yourself of all those things that I've been learning. And then lastly is one that I'm actually haven't done yet, but I'm going to start doing it because I heard it on a podcast this morning, and it's basically like the daily affirmations that I said I've been doing. I've been writing them into an app or writing them on paper. I'm going to do a voice recording of myself saying the affirmations, and then I can just have it on my phone, and then when I get into bed I can just put it in my AirPod and just listen to it for like a few minutes before bed. That way it's kind of like I don't have to have a pen and paper, and I don't have to say it out loud. Like if Ryan's sleeping or something, I can just like pop it in and listen to it and just kind of reaffirm all the things that I'm trying to manifest and believe in for this birth. So yeah, that's another one that I will start doing this week. Okay, moving on to the body, how I'm preparing my body for labor. There's a few things that I'm doing. One thing that I've been doing pretty much my whole pregnancy is walking. Before I got pregnant, I was a big walker. I love going on walks. It's just so good for me, and it just like helps me switch off and just kind of chill out a bit. So I've been walking as much as I can. Obviously now I'm at the pointy end. I have really bad pelvic girdle pain, so it is hard for me to walk long distances now, but I do what I can. I try and just, yeah, go on a little walk, or you know, I'm generally doing 5,000 steps a day, which at the moment is really good for me. So doing that. Secondly, I am really focusing on my water intake. So my midwife actually told me, she reminded me the last appointment, she was like, make sure you're drinking like 2 to 3 liters. So I am definitely drinking at least 2 liters a day. I have my big water bottle, my Yeti bottle. This is 800 mils. So I try to have 3 of these a day. So that is, let me do the maths, 2,400. So nearly 2.5 liters. And then I also have like my magnesium drink at night, which is about like 200 mils of water or something. So yeah, definitely getting above 2 liters, which is good. Then I've also just purchased a exercise ball, which I have been sitting on. I just got it from Kmart, $10. You don't need a fancy one. I used this last time in labor with Lincoln at the hospital, and I loved it. I was on this for hours. Basically it's just comfortable, and I don't like lying down, so I would just like sway on this while I was in labor. But I'm also using it now to prepare by doing pelvis rotations. So I'm just like sitting on it straight and rotating my pelvis in circles around, and then doing things like figure eights. So I'm kind of just making like a figure eight with my hips on the ball. And I'm also doing just some, like, I'm bouncing a little bit too, which I don't know if that does much, but I'm doing that. And pelvic tilt, which can be really good if the baby's sort of like pressed against your back, to kind of like tilt their head and create more space for them to kind of move forward, and relieve some of that pressure. The pelvic exercises on here have also, I feel like they have helped with my pelvic pain. It sort of just like loosens up everything and opens everything up. So yeah, I'm doing that every day. I'm also trying to like sit on this as much as possible because it's really, really good for your posture rather than just kind of like slouching on a couch. I will often just eat breakfast at the table with this ball instead of a chair or dinner or whatever. And just like if I'm on the computer or whatever, I just sit on this rather than a chair. So a couple more things that I'm doing. I am trying to stretch as much as possible. I say that because I'm definitely not doing it every day. But I know it's really, really good for loosening things up and opening it up, especially if you've got a really tight pelvic floor and tight pelvis. So yeah, I'm trying to get on the floor every night. Like if I've got something on the TV, I'll just like sit on our floor in our room and do some stretching. And then the last thing, which I haven't started yet, but I'm going to start at around 34 weeks, is I'm going to eat dates. So I did this last time. They say it can help ripen the cervix and prepare it for labor. So I'll be eating 5 dates a day. And then I am going to attempt to do some perineal stretching. So an obstetrician from the hospital that I gave birth at with Lincoln had a consult with me, like I think it was 10 months after I'd given birth to Lincoln, and pretty much said, yep, you can go for a vaginal birth again. This is the risk. To lower the risk of a bad tear, you can do perineal stretching from 34 weeks. So it's basically just like getting your fingers in there and making like a triangle shape and stretching it, stretching the perineum, and just kind of like preparing that for labor, doing that every day. So I'm not keen on doing it, but I'm gonna give it a go, because again, I'm trying to just do everything I can to avoid a bad tear. But yeah, I will let you know how I go with that. Righty, that is the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys got something out of it. Again, if you did enjoy, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe because I upload videos every Friday, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.